Football's coming back? Ba-da-da-da! Grossi Posse Packer Nation! Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. That's right. Change your pants, because football's coming back. Grossi. And we're going to be talking about just that today. In less than 2 weeks, NFL football is back. Happy freaking days. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout out and thank you to some patrons and also some new YouTube members. First, on Patreon, we had a name change and an upping in the subscription. We have Lieutenant Dedication is actually zip tying your hands and feet for a skit, and Tom Grossi's pronunciation skills are superior to Brandon. Got him. Also, a big shout out and thank you to Brandon Perna, who just became a dad today. Congrats, buddy. Also on the YouTube member front, we got Larry Womack, we got Gabe Johnson, we have Random Thought, we have Swatson 2012, we have Evan Berg, and we have Rose Brown. A big shout out and thank you to all the new YouTube members. It is greatly appreciated. So I retweeted this yesterday. Adam Schefter reported that as of yesterday, there is only one player who is on the COVID-19 list, and that is Jaguars offensive tackle Ryan Pope. And other than that, that is it. And so, while there is like a string of false positives last week that people had to deal with because of a testing site in Jersey, that seems to have gotten completely and totally cleared up. And while this is not an exact indicator of what the season is going to look like, I think that we can all agree that this is at least very good first steps. Now, I did see earlier that Saints owner Gail Benson actually does have the coronavirus. However, she's apparently doing well and she hasn't missed any days of work, so hoping for a speedy recovery for her. And this just seems like it's an achievement worth noting, considering when we started, you had players opting out. You did have some players wind up getting and contracting COVID. We had that on the Green Bay Packers. For example, Jay Sternberger had COVID. And this news comes with the other news that the MLB has just recorded its first week without any new positive cases for COVID amongst players, which is a good sign. Now, MLB and the NFL are similar in some ways in which obviously they are not doing a bubble. You have a lot more players and staff that you have to deal with when it comes to the NFL, so that's going to be very difficult to put inside a bubble. So again, we can't account for all those variables, but as of right this second, this is good news. And as we've talked about previously on the show, what it's going to come down to, right, a lot of it is going to be on how the players are going to act, how they're going to conduct themselves outside of the team facilities. And if you have been watching Hard Knocks on HBO like I have, you'll see like they're not messing around with it. The technology is actually really cool. They're like standing in front of like an iPad in which like it tells you your temperature, which was really cool. But obviously the amount of testing that's going on and quarantining that's also occurring as soon as somebody has a positive test, whether it's a false positive or not. So it seems like each team is doing all that they can to really limit the spread of COVID. And as of right now, it is working. Now you see also teams coming out and saying that they are not going to have fans for the first few games. Other teams are saying we're going to scale back the amount of fans. For example, like the Dolphins are going to have a few thousand. It's reported that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have 22% of the capacity on opening night. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. And overall, I am just super stoked to see the NFL come back in any form. Now, again, we'll see how this is actually going to go in a month or 2 months and how it's going to continue. But as of right now, football's back in less than 2 weeks, and I could not be more excited. There's also been talks about potentially having the NFL playoffs be formed in a bubble, right? So they can basically protect players, protect coaches, etc., to make sure that there's nothing that could actually stop the playoffs from occurring. And it'll be super interesting to note, like, if there is an outbreak, how they're going to handle it, right? Like the MLB, you had a team like the Cardinals who had an outbreak, and so because of that, they're playing, double headers for like the foreseeable future. You can't really do that with the NFL. However, if college football, right, doesn't continue, because there's talks about the Big Ten potentially reversing their decision, if there's no college football, there's potential that some games are going to be played on a Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see what the logistics of this season are going to look like trying to play football in a pandemic. All I know is that in less than 2 weeks, I will be sitting right here and watching football with you fine people. And oh boy, it feels like this offseason was extra long. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. How excited are you to have football back in your life? And how long will it last? Hopefully forever. Please, please don't take this away from me, COVID. Don't do it. You can always send me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy, all social media down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. We will be streaming tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, our Friday night Q&A. Hope to see you there. But thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.